here with Miss Bianca, I don't want to say your name too much now. Dijkhoffz. Okay, Miss Bianca Dijkhoffz, also known as Bibi Bad, a local dancer on the island, and we'll just do a quick interview to get to know her a little bit more and what makes her tick, what led her to pursue her career goals, and where she is now in her life. So hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being willing. Who is Bianca?
So, Bianca is an artist. Bianca is just a free spirit moving through the world, trying to, figure out my path, what's best for me, and what makes me happy. I guess I can kind of say that in a nutshell.
Figuring out what makes you happy. You think you're on the right path?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I always just follow whatever excites me, whatever makes me happy. It's never really for me about following a set path of what everybody thinks you should be doing. Yes. Obviously, as you can see.
How was that? Because I know our parents tend to have what they want to have happen for you, and they want us to have the security, and this one is the best path because you won't have to worry. It will definitely give you a career, whatever. How was your parents' reactions when you said, I want to be a dancer, I want to professionally dance full time, this will be what I do?
Right. I think they always knew from a very young age that I wasn't going to move into academics. Because I was in St. Dominic primary school and high school, and since primary school, I was struggling a lot in school, and my parents used to always, put in that extra time with me to make sure I understood my schoolwork, and so they've been through the struggles with me throughout the years, and I've been dancing ever since I was 5 years old, so that's something that was always a part of my life. And then by the time I was a teenager, maybe 15, 16, they were just super supportive because it was Bianca always been on this path, and clearly school is not going to be her thing, so let's support her. At that time, it wasn't okay, this is what she wants to be her career, so let's make that happen. It was more just okay, she's exploring different sides of herself right now. I mean, I'm not going to pressure her as if every 18-year-old needs to go right to college. They kind of gave me that space and time to explore and figure out if this is something I even really wanted to do.
That's good. So a lot of parents think that academics is the only way to go, and yet don't realize that there are other things.
Yeah. So luckily I had that support, which I know a lot of other kids didn't. But that's how I know this was meant to be my path. I didn't really have that resistance that was oh, you sure you want to be doing this? My mom was always super 100% okay, this is what you want to do, let's go for it, let's see what happens,
Okay, nice. Besides your parents, I'm sure your parents being supportive helped, but what made you decide this is definitely what I want to do? I'm not gonna, everything else I'll see, but I want to be a dancer. That is what I want to do.
Well, it's a funny story I always tell because it's not like when I started dancing at 5 years old, it was really just a hobby, and it was because my mom was just very much one of those parents that were okay, after school, you're gonna be doing a bunch of activities. You're gonna go play violin, you're gonna play piano, you're gonna go do tennis, you're gonna go swimming, you're gonna go dancing. I used to play violin when I was younger, which was actually my first love before anything else. That is what I was in love with, But she kind of always just kept the door open for us to explore other avenues outside of school, And actually, when I was in high school, in St. Dominic, in third form, you have to choose a package, either business or science. And I love science. I love being out in nature, plants, animals. People who know me, people who really know me on that level. Not as okay, everything you see on Instagram is okay, this girl will go pick up a frog and go hiking in the hills and live her best life. That's another huge side of myself that obviously people don't get to see. You really have no idea, right? But I love science, so I was I'm gonna be a veterinarian. Even though I didn't know specifically what I wanted, I knew it was gonna be with plants and animals. I was gonna live my best life in the science world, okay? And I used to tell myself when I realized that I started doing I started failing in school in science, and I was oh, okay, this is my life. So what am I going to do if the one thing that I said I was going to do is just not working out for me. And then it got to the point where I had to switch over to the business package. And of course I was not happy because I'm like,
I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this. You know, and then that's when dance really became that one thing that made me happy. You know, after school and all that stress, I would go to dance class and I would feel like, wow, this is the one thing that I could do right, you know? And then that's when slowly but surely it started to become more of a passion for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I started like, from a really young age, I never realized, but I was always like choreographing, like at my birthday parties, I would get all the girls together, we would do these dances, and you know, like I've been doing shows and school competitions and all these things from like such a young age, and I never realized until I told myself like, maybe I could be a dancer, like how the entire time, like it wasn't just me being a part of a dance school, but it was me getting my groups together and competing for competitions for
you
the
were
schools.
also organizing.
Like, yeah, like I was
so you were
always
actively in dance, not just dancing. You were actively a part of the dance,
right, and choreographing and wanting to put a whole show together and just, you know, like have a vision for the stage. And then I realized like, oh wow, like I kind of been doing this the whole time.
You've
but
been invested the entire time.
I just didn't take it that serious until I was like, maybe I actually can do this, you know, although there was nobody before me besides Nicole Weaver who already kind of like was on that path, you know. But even then, like we in the two different directions, you know. She went on to Broadway and I'm like a commercial dancer. So as a commercial dancer, it's like I work with artists, like tours, music videos, you know, like those kind of things, and she was just like on Broadway, you know. So it wasn't even like I really had like somebody to like look to be like, okay, how do I take the first steps, you know? So yeah, that was my little backstory. What was the original question?
What solidified it for dance for you?
Right. So really and truly, that was it. Like, no, I shouldn't say that was it. Like, to be honest, to me, I don't feel like it was a solid moment, because trust me, I had times when I was just like, this is not for me. Like when, by the time I was like 15, maybe 16, by the time I was 15, 16, my mom, every summer we would go to New York, and I would take this like dance workshop, this huge convention with a bunch of dancers. And I think we just found it online. We just found it and we was like, let's just go to New York and see what this is about, you know? And that was like my first experience being around other dancers, being in a completely different place, kind of getting a taste of like what this industry is about. And I was already like, what is this? Like competitive dancers, like everybody all about this hype with the choreographers, and I'm like, this world is weird. But anyway, went back the next summer, you know, and to be honest, every time I went, I was just like, this is weird, I don't think I like this.
But you kept going back.
I kept going back, you know, and then finally when I was 17, making 18, I moved to New York with my mom. And that's when I did like a 6-month training program where I had to take 12 classes a week, hour and a half every single class. And this was the first time that I was being exposed to like so many different styles and genres of dance that I was just like, my body was in pain, like I was like tired all the time. I'm like, 12 classes a week, you crazy? You know, like it was just a whole new world. And even then still I was just like, I don't like this. I don't like this concrete jungle. I don't like these 12 classes a week. Like why am I even here? Like what am I doing? You know, and then after like in between the 6-month program, I actually got contacted by my dream agency that I always had a dream of being signed with. And they contacted me and they were like, hey, you know, we really want to sign you, come in, let's talk, whatever. So I went in and they signed me and I still was not happy. I was like, I don't care that my dream agency just hit me up and I'm, you know, taking this, like I'm actually starting to see the steps unfold. Like I was just so not happy with New York and what was going on that I was just like, I want to go home. So I told my mom, I was like, I don't care, like I do not care who contacted me, what happened, like I'm going home. I went home. I came back home for like 4 months, still not that like I feel like I still wasn't sure, you know? But I kept going back.
You were afraid to take the step though. What do you think?
Also scared to take the step.
Because that's a big part of it.
Yes,
officially commit to something.
Officially committing.
That's a scary thing to do.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, I don't think it was necessarily dance that wasn't making me happy. I think it was just the whole environment. You know, it was like not being able to connect to the people around me from all different places. You know, New York is like, New York is like a very interesting place. And, you know, coming from St. Martin, it's like, you kind of get used to, like, not that everybody's the same, but you kind of get used to a certain type of, like, movement and energy from people.
Yeah.
But New York was just, like, mind-blowing to me, and not in the best way ever, you know? It was just like, oh, all these characters and personalities, you know,
Completely
that's
different.
just completely different, and, like, I'm in a concrete jungle, I can't enjoy the nature
Nature
that
that you
I
like so much.
was surrounded by, so I was just like, is this really gonna be my life? Like, what is it about this I even love anymore, you know? So I came home for 4 months after that, and of course the agency contacted me and they were like, well, if you're not here, like, we can't continue this. Like, you haven't been going to any auditions. Like, every single audition they sent to me, I declined. I went away. They had no idea until they messaged me and they were like, you know, like, what's going on? And then they dropped me. So I was like, like, of course, it's to be expected. Like, I was not putting in the work.
Yeah.
I was not even there, you know. And then after those 4 months, after Carnival, after I had my time to enjoy myself with my friends and everything, I say, okay, you know what, fine, let me go back. A year later, I went to audition for them this time, because the first time it was just like a
They
direct
contacted
situation.
you,
Yeah. I went to audition for them, and they re-signed me. But by then I was ready, because I was more ready, at least. I was more prepared. I understood how the industry kind of worked at that point. You know, it wasn't like I was just like being thrown into things, you know, because to be honest, like, everything, when I moved to New York, everything happened so fast. Like, getting signed with an agency is not the easiest thing, you know? Like, I just came from the Caribbean, I have no idea what I'm doing, these people contacting me, I'm like, okay, this is cool, and other people are like, are you crazy? Like, this is something that, like, I've been auditioning for the past 5 years, I never got this opportunity, you know, and meanwhile I'm just there, like, I don't want it, you know? But finally, when I went back that year later, like, I was ready, you know?
But they've been auditioning and couldn't get in. You just went up and they contacted you. Virtual high five to that, because that says of the skill. I mean, we down here having fun with our carnival and dancing, but that shows us level of skill that people that have been seeking them, they turned down. You went up still figuring it out, and they contacted you and said, hey, we want to be your friend, come chill with us.
Yeah. And imagine at that time I didn't, like, although I always knew that that's who I wanted to be with, and because of all the other things that was going on, like, I just couldn't, like, be happy about it, you know. But I was happy that when I went back a year later, that, like, I had worked for it.
Yes.
You know, I worked for it, and that was the difference. It was like, now this feels right, because now they really saw me, they really know again that they wanted me. So I was just like, this was just meant to be. And then, like, right after I got signed, like the month after I booked my first international commercial, right after that I went to Japan on my first dance tour, you know. So then I think, so there was never really a moment when I was like, yes, this is finally it, you know. It was just like I slowly started becoming comfortable, things slowly started happening, and then I was like, oh, I'm here. Like,
this is where I wanted to be. Okay, it worked out.
Right. And to be honest, maybe only Japan was like the first, because it was like the first time that I booked such a big job, and I was to go on tour with an artist, especially in a foreign place like Japan, like all the way across the world, like that's something that like was always a big dream of mine, you know. So to be able to like experience that was like really the first step for me. That was like, okay, like, yeah, I think this is really what I want, you know. And then when I went to New York after the tour in 2018, that was when things really, I started to love New York more. I started to like find my community of friends and people that like I actually connected with, which that actually happened to be Caribbean people and African people, you know. And then that's when I kind of started to venture out into dancehall and Afrobeats and these more like cultural dance styles.
More to home.
Yeah, but in a way that like I would never expect, because people who know me from young know that like I was never really into. I had loved dancehall music, but I was that girl that was like, if I was in the party, I was in the back. Like, don't call me out to be doing no dancing and all kind of stuff like that. Like, I'm the shy girl, believe it or not, you know. But then to fast forward years later and see me in that environment is like, this is Bianca, like doing these things, like, you know. So just watching my evolution and just, you know, just watching the journey. Like, there was never a set point in time, but it was just necessary steps I had to take to get to that point of like being comfortable, you know.
That just came together, and then you had the realization like, okay. it real. We're going to do this for real then.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.